Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So guys, things have turned quite heated between Canelo and Ryan Garcia. There seems to be a feud. Canelo Alvarez yesterday in an interview said that Ryan Garcia, Eddie Reynoso has got time, because Ryan Garcia said that, Eddie Reynoso is very busy, there isn't time. And Canelo basically said, Eddie's always here, he's got time, and you have to stay disciplined, you have to stay in the gym. If you've got to stay in the gym. It was kind of like timings where if you feel like you can come in whenever you want, then it's not going to work that way, where you need to stay in the gym. See, Canelo Alvarez is a gym rat. Canelo Alvarez is somebody that stays in the gym. What Canelo's got to understand, not everybody has the same kind of dedication as he does to the sport of boxing. And sometimes when you get these great athletes, these great fighters, they expect everyone to be like them. They expect everybody to be great like them, but they don't understand that not everybody can be. Hence why the very best fighters don't always make the best trainers, because their patience, their frustration, they expect everyone to be as good as them. Now, listen, Canelo Alvarez is definitely one of the best fighters in the world, but Ryan Garcia has got a lot of things going outside of boxing. I'm not saying Ryan Garcia is not dedicated, he is, but he's also got a lot of other things. He reminds me a bit of Amir Khan, where he was a star, he was a good fighter, but the thing is, he had a lot of things going outside of boxing which distracted him at times. He was a celebrity outside as well, and I think Ryan Garcia is a bit like that as well. Now, Ryan Garcia, he's got his career ahead of him. Ryan Garcia needs to be more dedicated, and for me, him leaving Eddie Reynoso isn't a bad move, because I feel like he needs that one-to-one time. Ryan Garcia needs guidance, he needs tutorship, he needs more one-to-one time, and Eddie Reynoso probably can't give him that, because Eddie Reynoso is somebody that's very busy, that's got multiple world champions. So although Canelo Alvarez is saying that, Eddie's here and he can give him time, whatever, it's all right, no worries. No worries. Yeah, so in my opinion, Ryan Garcia needs one-to-one time. He needs somebody that's just focused on him. Eddie Reynoso, yeah, he might be able to give Ryan Garcia time, but Ryan Garcia needs more time. He's a superstar, so Ryan Garcia needs everything around him. And Eddie Reynoso probably can't do that, because if Ryan Garcia's got commitments outside of boxing, and Eddie Reynoso's busy, he can't really work around Ryan Garcia's time. So Ryan Garcia needs a trainer where he's the trainer's main fighter. And with Joe Goosen, that's probably the case. I don't know whether Joe Goosen stylistically is the best style for Ryan Garcia, but then Ryan Garcia came back and said Canelo doesn't know the ins and outs. Canelo doesn't know the situation. He goes, there was times with Frank Sanchez when he had a fight, and even he didn't meet Frank Sanchez till the day of the fight or something like that, Ryan Garcia said. So basically there's definitely an issue where Canelo thinks that there's a lack of discipline from Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia wasn't as disciplined, but again, you've got to look at it from both ways. That Ryan Garcia's probably got commitments outside of boxing. Ryan Garcia's not like Canelo. Being like Canelo's once in a generation type fighter. The dedication, that's why he is where he's at. Not every fighter is going to have that kind of determination, that kind of dedication, which you need to have if you want to get to the level Canelo's at. Mayweather and guys, Pacquiao, those guys were very dedicated. They lived, breathed and ate the sport. That's why they got where they got. But not every fighter has that kind of dedication. And if Ryan Garcia wants to get to any kind of level, because I always had this issue with Amir Khan over the years, that I felt like he didn't dedicate himself as much as a Mayweather or a Canelo, where I felt he could have achieved a lot more. And no disrespect to Ryan, I think Amir is more naturally gifted and more naturally talented than Ryan was. I think Amir's baseline is a lot higher, so he could get away with a lot of those things because he was so much more naturally gifted as an amateur and as a pro. For me, I feel like Khan had a lot more to him than what Ryan Garcia. That's not to say Ryan Garcia can't go on to become more successful than Khan. He can, but if he does what Khan did, Ryan Garcia won't even have the career that Amir Khan had. because I don't think he's as naturally as gifted as Khan was in his prime. So if Ryan Garcia wants to be successful, Ryan Garcia is going to have to work very hard, and he needs a trainer that's going to be able to guide him, that's going to be able to spend a lot of time with him, because Ryan Garcia needs a lot of guidance. You know, he needs a teacher, someone that can teach him. And for me, I don't know whether Joe Goosen's the right man. They seem to have a very good bond. They seem to have a very good relationship. But I do think that Ryan Garcia needs somebody that's defensively minded. But listen, Joe Goosen might be great. You know, I saw Joe Goosen with Amir Khan and I made my judgment there. But I'm not sure. Like, Joe Goosen might be a really good trainer for Ryan Garcia. But in terms of the Canelo Alvarez, it seems like there's a bit of a feud there, a bit of misunderstanding. But I think Canelo's just basically saying that I don't think he was that disciplined. I don't think he was as dedicated as he needed to be, or he should be, in the sport of boxing, because Canelo's looking at it from his point of view. But not everybody's going to be as dedicated as Canelo Alvarez, and that's the thing. And this is why I'm saying that I think Ryan Garcia probably came in when he wanted to come into the gym, you know, and did his bit. But he probably wasn't in the gym like Canelo was in the gym. And Canelo also mentioned that about Andy Ruiz. He said Andy Ruiz is a bit like that. These guys aren't dedicated like Canelo Alvarez. You know, we know the situation with Andy Ruiz when he beat Joshua, and look how he ballooned up in weight, and he didn't really train that hard. He said himself, I didn't train that hard. For me, that was kind of a disgrace in a way, because Andy Ruiz said he didn't even train hard for the Joshua third fight. This is what he said. And you got paid millions for that. You got paid millions for that fight. And you're saying you didn't even train hard, and he was out of shape. And he made the job a lot easier for Anthony Joshua in that fight. So the problem I have is that a lot of these guys aren't very dedicated like Canelo is. And hence why the results aren't what the results that Canelo gets. Ryan's a very young guy. You know, he's still building up. He's still, you know, he's still getting there. He's still got improvements to make. He's not the finished article at this point. But obviously, if he doesn't dedicate himself, he's probably going to find it very difficult in this type of sport to get to the top. And when he does fight the best, you'll be found out. So Canelo's got a good point, and I don't think he's saying what he's saying to have a dig at Ryan Garcia. I think he's saying what he's saying to help Ryan Garcia. But I feel like Ryan probably thought that, you know, he's trying to have a dig and say I'm not disciplined and I don't work hard. But that's not the case. I definitely think that Ryan Garcia moving away from Eddie Reynoso isn't a bad thing, because Ryan Garcia needs more one-to-one time. Reynoso can't give him that. It's not practically possible. How can you give Martinez, Canelo, Virgil Ortiz? I mean, I know Virgil Ortiz is not there either, but Andy Ruiz, you know, all these guys, how can you give them, you know, Canelo needs so much attention. He's his manager of Canelo. Imagine how much time Eddie Reynoso is giving up, you know, managing. He's got Frank Sanchez as well. This isn't easy. Managing Canelo is a full-time job. You know, taking care of Canelo training needs and managerial needs, that's a full-time job. Then you've got other fighters, superstars like Ryan Garcia. You know, those guys need a lot of attention as well when it comes to training. So this is what I mean. Ryan Garcia is the kind of guy where he can't be a number 2 or number 3 to anybody. He needs to be your sole focus. And that's where he's at in his career, because he needs so much attention. There's so much improvements that Garcia's got to make. There's so much guidance that he needs in order to get to the top, that I feel him moving away from Eddie Reynoso is a good move. It's just, is Joe Goosen that right fit? Is Joe Goosen the right trainer for him? So that's my take on it. I haven't got a problem with Ryan Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia is right. He needs more time. He needs somebody that can focus and just focus on him. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, in terms of the discipline, like I said, if Canelo expects everyone to be like him, which I think is a good thing, because I think you have to be disciplined. The problem is a lot of these young guys like Ryan Garcia, who's probably got commitments outside of boxing, his social media star and stuff like that. He's probably got things he's doing outside of the sport, which he probably wants to dedicate time to as well. So he's probably not going to focus his whole career. Look, you have to focus your whole career around boxing, but the point I'm trying to make is he's probably got other commitments that take up time, and he needs the trainer to be working around him, basically, because he's that big a star. And that's probably the issue. That's probably the issue. And I think Reynoso probably didn't have that kind of time where he could focus his time around Ryan Garcia. But that's just the fact that Reynoso's a man in demand. You know, he's got one of the biggest stars in the sport in Canelo. He can't do that. So he probably gave schedules like I'll train Ryan at 2 till 4 and Frank Sanchez 6 to 8, or, you know, stuff like that. But the thing is, can Ryan Garcia stick to that schedule? Because he's probably got commitments outside. So this is the thing. Like, I think Ryan Garcia needs somebody that just focuses attention on him. I think that would be more helpful, rather than him being in a gym where there's other star boxers where he's just another fighter, you know. So I think this isn't a bad move for Ryan Garcia. But in terms of the dedication, I think Canelo's right. And I think Ryan Garcia should be more dedicated. I don't know what he meant by you need to be more disciplined. Like, I don't know. We're not there, so we don't know what Canelo means. Is it the case where Ryan Garcia is turning up late? Ryan Garcia doesn't come one day? 'Cause that's what Canelo was basically saying. So yeah, of course, if that's the case, then you know you're not gonna get anywhere in the sport of boxing if you're not dedicating yourself, and you're not dedicating yourself to this sport, because it's a lot harder. And yeah, so I just think, I feel like I agree with Canelo there. I agree with Canelo. I think he should dedicate himself. I think Ryan should dedicate himself. And I think he will. Because I think he knows how hard this sport is. I think he knows how tough and, you know, how it's a very tough sport, this. Very, very tough sport. You have to dedicate yourself. You have to, you know, knuckle down. And I think as soon as Ryan Garcia finds that out, the more disciplined he is, the more chance he's got of you know, getting a lot of success in this sport, because this sport needs dedication. So I think Canelo was saying things just for his benefit, but I think Ryan probably, you know, I saw a post on Twitter that they both followed each other on Instagram. So there's probably a little bit of needle there, just because of the fact that maybe Ryan thinks that Canelo's having a dig. Canelo's probably a little frustrated that, you know, Ryan didn't dedicate himself like he probably does. But you know, everyone's different. Not everyone can be like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is once in a generational fighter, but I do think, hopefully, I wish Ryan Garcia all the best. I do. I think he's a great young fighter. I think he's good for the sport. I think he brings a lot of eyes on the sport. So I wish Ryan all the best. I really do. He's a young fighter, up and coming talent, and we really hope he goes on to achieve a lot of good things in the sport of boxing. I really hope. I wish him all the best. Let's see where he gets to. Let's see how this work with, you know, this team up with Joe Goosen, how it works out for him. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think about Canelo. I wouldn't say it's a feud between Canelo and Ryan Garcia, but it definitely seems that there was some kind of back and forth between the two. Yeah, but leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.